What's up, Saber fans? This is Gray Paladin, and I have loaded my first sound font on my Ultimate Works FLYTE. It's a sound font called Emperor, one modeled after Darth Sidious, and I replaced it on my Sound Bank 4. So, everything worked and turned out great. Equipped with smooth swing. Blaster deflect, clash, and lockup. Of course, accent slings. And the smooth swing sounds even louder with this new font. So in this video, I'm going to go over how you can replace the sound fonts in the banks that are already preloaded on your FLYTE. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is make sure that your saber is completely powered off and in power save mode. Then connect your USB-C. From there, just tap the AV switch once. Once you do that, you'll hear a beep, and then your AV switch will start blinking rapidly. From there, you know that it's connected, and you should see this main window open up. As you can see here, you have your 6 sound banks, system folder, color matrix, and credits. The credits, that's what I was telling you in a previous video, you will have links to free fonts that you could use to download and store on your FLYTE Saber. If you look at the color matrix here, that shows you the 14 colors that you have set on the saber. The top line here is going to be the top line of numbers is going to be a set of 3 numbers. That's your main color. Then you have a secondary color, and then your flash on clash color. And I know there's a lot of access to those in the color matrix and things like that. So if you come down, just make sure that you keep the same format, add your next setting there, and then when you're done, make sure you click save, and then close that notepad, and those colors should be available on the saber. When it comes to the system folder, you don't really need to touch anything here unless you want to change some of the sounds, for instance the boot, or when it's charging or the battery's low, mute, things like that. Other than that, you don't need to worry about changing any of those. Now, like I showed you earlier, I already changed bank 4 to be my Emperor. So I'm going to swap out the Hoth sound font. So let's go ahead and change out bank 1. Just to double check, double click here to see what it is, and then my audio player will pop up and it should play the sound that's going to be for that. And this should be Hoth. While that's loading up, it's always best to create a backup and a separate folder for your saber.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Okay, so yes, that is the Hoth font. That one I'm going to go ahead and replace with, let's replace it with General Krell. That's the Traitorous General by Force Effects. So make yourself a folder. I named this folder here FLYTE. And then I created a backup. And all the backup is just click, copy all of that original, in the main root directory here, copy all of the original files and then paste that into a backup folder. That way, in case you make any mistakes, you can go back to the original settings and put the saber back to the way it was. That way there's no problems. And then for me, I did an update folder. And here, this is my Emperor folder here. So I'm going to update also bank 1. So I'm going to, in my update folder here, I'm going to add bank 1, new folder. Name that bank 1. Now, this is the easy part. First, pick your font. So I'm going to go into where I have all my fonts, Traders General. There we go. Now, there's Proffie format and there's CFX. If you want to make it quick and easy, go for the CFX format. And the reason why is, I'm going to go into bank 1 here. I'll start with Blaster. Notice how it's labeled Blaster 2, 3, and 4. You want to use the exact same format for how you name or rename your files. If you go into Proffie over here, notice Blaster's BLST, and now it's BLST 01, 02, 03, 04. I'd have to rename all of those to match Blaster, Blaster 2, 3, and 4 all the way out. But if you go into CFX format, notice how Blaster 2, 3, 4 is already labeled there. So it just makes it a lot easier if you can have a CFX format to put on your flight. So the first thing I'm going to do here is just delete all of the original files here, Blaster 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to add these here. But in my case, I like these added Blaster sounds here, so I'm actually going to add these on because I can hear the clone troopers speaking in this one. So I'm just going to copy, paste. I'm going to take the original Blaster here, copy, and paste. Now I'm going to rename these. This is now going to be Blaster 2. Rename this to Blaster 4. Or sorry, 3. And then here will be Blaster 4. Back out of that. So now the blasters are all set. Next to replace will be the Clash. Notice I have Clash 1 through 16. Over here in Traders General, I have Clash 1 through 16. So first, delete the current. And now, add the new. Just going to copy and paste. Now I have my clashes 1 through 16. Next up, it's going to be the hum. Notice how it's just labeled hum, not hum M1. So going to, notice how here it says hum M1. I'm going to need to rename that. So first I'm going to copy. Over here, delete. Yes. Now paste. And rename to just hum. All right, back out. Next is, this is the hybrid swing, HY swing. These will be just your regular swing. So I have 1 through 16. Go over to my CFX format, and I have swing 1 through 16. So I'm going to go ahead and copy. Take the originals over here and delete. Paste the new ones. So Traders General right there says Traders General to high swing. So those are good. Now the in. This is going to be your power off. In as in the blade is going into the hilt. So I have power off and power off 2. This is labeled the same for CFX. So I have power off here. So let's delete these two. These are the Hoth, now gone. Power off, copy, paste, and then power off 2, copy, and paste. Now the in is done. Next is lockup. So it's labeled lock 01, but notice on the CFX format it's labeled just lockup. So I'm going to have to rename that. Now For this one, I'm going to go into my extras because I like hearing him laugh. So I'm going to do the lockup here. Copy. Delete lock 01. Paste Krell. Rename lock 01. Now I can back out of that. Next is out. This is going to be your ons. So now I have power on 2, 3, 4, and power on F. Same thing over here on my CFX format. Power on 2, 3, 4, and F. So I can just go ahead and select all of these, delete, and then paste, copy and paste from my new font. Copy and paste. So that's all set. Simple LED, you don't have to worry about these. These are just text files that have settings for that. My recommendation is to just leave those alone unless you really know what you're doing. Next thing is the swing here. Now notice how you have SW01H and SW01_L. This is going to be your smooth swing pairs. A high swing and a low swing. Every pair has to have a high and a low. This is where you're going to have the most work to do, because if you look over here, I've got H swing 1 and L swing 1. And that's up to 4, just like I have over here. So I'm going to remove all of the Hoth swings and then add the general swings. Copy, paste. This will be the time consuming part. So now I have to, I'll start with one here. Rename SW01_H, because it's a high swing, and then do that for all of these. SW02_H. Next, SW03_H. At this point, if you'd like to fast forward, please feel free to do so. Now I have to do the same thing here for the low swings. Copy and paste. Now I have to rename SW01_L, because now we're in our low swing. Same thing here for 2, 3, and 4. So now I have all that together. It's good to just double check to back out and then go back into that same folder and make sure that it's all in order. SW01_H and L, 2 H and L, 3 H and L, 4 H and L. So that should work out well. If you don't label these correctly, then they will not sound or work properly when you go to use the saber. And lastly is the bank switch. So this is going to be for the CFX format. Click on font, and that's the one you want to move over. So I'm going to go ahead and copy. Take this bank switch here and delete. Paste over the font and rename to bank switch. This will be what you hear when you select or change to the font. Okay, so I have adjusted everything. It's always good to go through and just double check, make sure everything's labeled properly. Blaster 2, 3, and 4. Clash 1 through 16. Hum, labeled correctly. Hybrid Swing 1 through 16. The Power Off. Lock Up. Power On. Simple LED we didn't touch. Swing, make sure we have our smooth swing pairs. And then the bank switch. Alright, so once everything is solid there, I'm going to go back to my FLYTE folder, check my update. Notice how I have my bank 1 that I switched. So now I'm going to take this and just copy and paste all of that and back that up in my update folder. This will take a second. It's always good to have backups and copies of everything. So if you make a mistake, you can easily just copy and paste and put everything back to normal. Or if you want to make other changes, you have everything right there ready to go. In fact, rather than just leaving it as bank 1 and bank 4, I'm going to go ahead and do a sub-labeling on there so that way I know what font is in that. So here I substituted bank 1, so I'm going to go ahead, do a dash, and then add my traitorous general. I would say traitorous gen. And then my bank 4, I had that as Emperor. Okay. That way I know what each of those are. Yep, and I thought so. I did... Okay. I did spell that wrong. Go back in here and just fix that real quick because that's going to irk me. My OCD will not be able to handle that. Okay. Alright, so once that's all good to go, everything looks fine, everything's solid, so go ahead and close that. This is an important part here. Make sure you go in and safely remove what you've connected. So this is the eject my UW saber, so I'm going to click that. It says it's currently in use, so the reason why it says it's still in use is because I have folders open that utilized files, which was my iTunes here. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, give it a second, and it should be able to clear and safely eject the saber. Make sure you do this so that way there's no damage to the saber or anything on the inside. That should be good enough. Let's see if we can eject. Not just yet. So while we're waiting for that, just remember, always have clearly detailed folders of where you're going to have your files. For instance, I have a Verso board with some things. I have Nano Biscotte. I have Golden Harvest V3 here. And then, of course, my CFX. I've got a lot of CFX. So, like Vanquish, my Sid 2.0, Reaver, my Exalted, my Count Dooku. Have folders for everything clearly labeled and have backups for all of them. For instance, Dooku here. I've got my original, my backup, and then I put the date of when I made my adjustments to it. So, it's always helpful. Trust me. Because you will make mistakes sometimes. Let's see if now we can eject. Perfect. So I hear that sound. Safe to remove. Light turns off. I can unplug my saber. And now I should be able to fire it up and use it as normal. Okay, so we last left off on the Bank 4 Emperor sound font. Now let's cycle through and see how our traitorous general came out.
I'll show you the dark side.
Fingers crossed.
It's Heisenberg.
So far, so good. There he is, General Krell. And so that all worked out very well. I might tweak some of the blaster stuff. I'm going to see if I can add more than just the 4 on there so I get more variety. But that's essentially all you have to do to add or replace sound fonts on your Ultimate Works FLYTE. I hope this tutorial and all of this was helpful to you. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and may the Force be with you.